kids, and ew. So that's why you may want to consider getting Windows 2.0. It makes Windows go from garbage to just So why not take a look at it? I mean, it's the next one in line after all, and my feelings on it are mixed to say the least. But we shouldn't say that too soon now, shall we? Let's take a look at its history first. So Windows 1.0 happened, we're all gonna have to deal with it. A lot of people didn't really like 1.0. It was annoying and unnecessary. A complaint a lot of people had was the tiled window management. The only windows that will overlap were dialog windows. And so, Microsoft set out to fix this problem shortly after 1.0's launch with Windows 1.1. Windows 1.1 introduced overlapping windows for all windows, dialog and normal windows. Originally, you could switch between tiling windows and overlapping windows, but this feature was scrapped to make it only have overlapping windows. By October 1986, this project was renumbered to Windows 1.5, eventually getting renumbered again to Windows 2.0 to signify that this is a big update. The earliest known build of 2.0 is from April 1987, around the same time Windows 1.04 released, and 8 months before the final version. It uses the same color scheme from 1.0, but the new control menu icon is here, as well as the new minimize and maximize buttons. The next build is from May 1987 and was shown in 2 InfoWorld magazine issues. Interestingly enough, there's a screenshot from the second issue that shows the final color scheme. Alpha 1 was compiled sometime in June 1987. We have no screenshots of it. In fact, the only evidence we have of it existing is in the version.h file of Windows PostScript driver in the Windows 2.11 OAK. Version.h also contains references to Alpha 2, compiled shortly after Alpha 1. Beta 1 was compiled on July 1st, 1987. The only screenshot we have of this build is the boot screen, which was in a Polish computer magazine named Chip. Beta 2 was compiled on August 14th, 1987. References to Beta 2 were found in that same version.h file. But then some disks for Beta 2 were auctioned off on March 13th, 2023. Windows 2.01 was compiled on September 7th, 1987, rushed to coincide with the launch of the Compact Portable 386, which launched in October 1987. This was the first release of the Windows 386 series. Versions of Windows 2.0 specifically for the i386 processor. Windows 2.02, compiled on October 31st, 1987, was used as the runtime for Excel for Windows 2.0. Yay. Windows 2.03 was the retail version of Windows 2.0, compiled on November 16th, 1987, and released to retail on December 9th, 1987. Windows 2.0 had way better reviews than 1.0, and the sales numbers show that. 2.0 sold 1 million copies by 1988 and 2 million by January 1990. This was a big change over 1.0. It was so much of a change that Apple was pissed. On March 17th, 1988, Apple sued Microsoft and HP, accusing the two of infringing copyrights on the Macintosh system software. They claimed the look and feel of the Macintosh operating system was copyrighted, and Windows 2.0 violated the copyright. Out of the 189 GUI elements Apple sued for, the judge ruled in favor of Microsoft and HP in all but 10 of them. Then, midway through the lawsuit, Xerox said, "Fuck you" to Apple and then sued them. So Microsoft and HP could be free without Apple up their ass. The i386 specific version of 2.03 was compiled on January 14th, 1988, and released in manufacturing on August 12th, 1988. Windows 2.1 released shortly after and had 2 variants, 286 and 386. The 286 version was compiled on May 27th, 1988, while the 386 version was compiled on September 9th, 1988. Windows 2.11 was a minor update that also released in a 286 and 386 version. 286 version was compiled on May 15th, 1989, and 386 version was compiled on March 14th, 1989. Interestingly, the history page of Microsoft of Korea site in 1999 mentioned the existence of Windows 2.12. According to the page, 2.12 was released on September 20th, 1990. This could just be a typo of Windows 2.11 though. Screenshots of a Korean version of Windows exist with file dates from September 12th, 1990. This could be that mysterious Windows 2.12, but the floppy disk just say version 2.1. On December 31st, 2001, Microsoft ended support for Windows 2.0 along with Windows Windows 1.0, 3.0, 3.1, 95, and MS-DOS. Now, let's take a look at the actual thing. Windows 2.0's boot screen is the same as 1.04, except that version 1.04 is replaced with version 2.xx. And the years 1985 and 1986 are removed from copyright notice. Windows 2.0 still features the MS-DOS Executive. The MS-DOS Executive is a little complicated to navigate if you're new to the older version of Windows. I much prefer the Program Manager and the Explorer. The MS-DOS Executive here functions the same as it did in 1.0. The biggest feature on display here is the overlapping windows, which makes things a lot easier. You had to get a damn master's degree to use 1.0, my god. We also have a desktop now. The background can't be changed and it's just a solid cyan, which hurts my eyes to death, but hey, it was 1987, what are you gonna do? Technically, we had a desktop at 1.0 as well. It was green and you could only see if you had 2 or more programs open, and all of them were icon. We also have new window controls here. The control menu has a new icon, and we have a restore option now. Plus, we have keyboard shortcuts to do some control menu options now. The most famous one being Alt F4 to close, but you can also press Alt F5 to restore, Alt F7 to move, Alt F8 to resize, Alt F9 to minimize, and Alt F10 to maximize. And hey, if you have a condition where you can't press Alt F9 or F10, you can use the new dedicated minimize and maximize buttons. Yes, 2.0 introduced the minimize and maximize buttons that are still a part of Windows today, albeit their icons are different. The down arrow is minimize, and the up arrow is maximize. If you already have a window maximize, the button turns into the restore button. Again, still a part of Windows today. The restore button is an up arrow and a down arrow, and if you click it, it restores the window back to its regular size. The apps included are the same as 1.0, in addition to the Program Information Editor. What? Windows 2.0 also introduced the control panel. Yeah, for some reason there was this myth going around. All the big shots that know nothing about Windows are saying that Windows 2.0 was the first version with control panel. Honey, control panel was in Windows 1.0 as well. For God's sake, this myth even fooled Microsoft themselves. So, that's Windows 2.0. Overall, it's a step in the right direction, but still not what I'm looking for. Now, if only there was a Windows version that was pretty decent, then I would screw...